I love Peloton. I guess that's the whole point of this. Okay, so I'm not a favorites person.
Okay.
So I'm not the person to be like, oh, my favorite song is this. It's just like, it's not something I can do. But I will say that I adore Jess Sims. Like, she was my OG because we started at the same time. Like, you know, when she got introduced to the world is when I got my stuff. So we actually really connected early on when she first started, you know, back before she got super famous. So we don't chat as much anymore. But yeah, so I love her. I just really connect with her. I love, you know, her strength type message, like take up space. And I'm a big believer of that. I wish more women lifted. I wish more women wanted to be strong as opposed to skinny. I could get on a soapbox about that, but I love that she is that in her energy and she's just a good time. And plus her programming is always top notch. Like it kicks your butt in the best way.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. Know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 280. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. Hi.
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 Well, what an afternoon.
Take two.
Take two.
We started to record the episode, and then we had...
And then the phone started ringing.
Then we had breaking news. So we are starting over.
Yeah. So Dr. Jen's back this week, and
Yes.
we are going to dig right into. Don't worry, Daniel will be at the top of the show.
Yes.
We'll just cut to that. We're going to cut to that.
Yes.
We got a lot of stuff to cover though. The Amazon Prime sales. We've got a visit from Angelo, and we talk about somebody that sounds exactly like Tom because they won't eat vegetables, but it wasn't Tom. And when Dr. Jen drops by, we talk about maintaining your exercise motivation when the seasons change. And we've just got all kinds of news about the instructors and instructors who are no more.
Yes.
So,
With the company.
With the company.
Yeah, you make it sound like they're not alive.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make it sound like that. No.
So before we get to all that shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us while you're there. Be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. That's always helpful.
Yes, please.
We have a new review.
Oh.
This is from Minkus316.
All right.
Which sounds like a made-up Bible quote.
Oh, interesting. It sounded to me like a character in like Lord of the Rings.
Well, Minkus does, but I'm like, Minkus316 from the book of Minkus. Great infotainment. Really enjoying the show. Tom's brand of humor hits just right. Crystal is delightful, and special guests are great. Sunday, I hopped on the bike without a specific plan and saw that one friend was on. It was Crystal with 3 minutes until a Jen Sherman 45-minute 80s ride. Perfect. I joined and PR'd the ride with my first Strive score over 100.
Oh, so, congrats.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds good, so congrats.
They worked their butt off. Okay. That's what that means.
Thanks for putting out a quality show and being accessible and engaging for your listeners. Leaderboard name, Rocky Mountain Mike. So,
I love it.
So thank you very much.
I assume they live in the Rocky Mountains.
One would assume, but you never know.
It's true.
Also, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. Don't forget our Patreon, patreon.com/theclipout, where for $5 a month, you get ad-free episodes. And for a little bit more, you can get bonus content. And finally, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/theclipout, where you can watch these shows in HD glory. So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Breaking news.
So literally as we started recording the show, we had to stop and start over. We had breaking news that Daniel McKenna is suing Peloton for having been fired, in his opinion, wrongfully.
Yes. And we say wrongfully because I'm just going to be transparent. We don't agree with some of his politics. And so if you don't you get to think whatever you think, but so do I. So that's just all I'm going to say about that. But I believe that including vaccines as part of this conversation was not wise and was not helpful. And there's a lot of people that are posting that it has to do, the lawsuit is actually about bullying, and it's actually about discrimination. And there was another word that they used, something about his pectoral muscle, his surgery. Like it was like taking time off discrimination. Yeah. And that may be true. And I would say then why did he include the vaccine information? And it seems
it was hard not to read that as anything other than a dog whistle, because if you read the rest of the lawsuit, like when it comes time for the causes for action, they don't even circle back to it. It just seems designed to rile up a certain segment of people, which it will do.
It will.
So, but to the lawsuit itself, I guess we should start by saying we're reading one side's filing.
Yeah, I think that's important to remember, that whenever a lawsuit gets filed, what happens, for those of you who don't know, is if you're the person instigating the lawsuit, you can put in there anything that you are complaining about. So if it's literally called a complaint, and you are the complainant, and you get to say whatever
plaintiff.
And you get to say whatever you want in that. So right now, that's the only piece of the puzzle that we have. We do not have Peloton's response. We do not have, that's the next step. You send over the document, and then the other side then gets to respond. So the other big thing that it seems to be that he's complaining about is how Jen Cotter treated him, things that she allegedly said.
Right.
And of course, we don't know what's true or not true because we were not there. And if it was true, we also don't know what context these things were said in. And it's important to remember all that. For all the people that were yelling at me last week or 2 weeks ago whenever I broke the news that we should not be assuming things, well, right back at you. We really shouldn't be assuming anything here.
Especially in a court case where, like I said, there's going to be a reply, and we should probably wait till that. It's also interesting that obviously his contract had an arbitration clause, and he just decided to skip that process. He says because it's illegal, and then he doesn't have to do that part. And we will see what a court says. Yeah,
I don't think that he's going to win that aspect of it. Like, I think he's still going to have to do arbitration. Yeah, but I could be wrong.
I know part of the lawsuit, he talks about how he thinks the other instructors are on his side because they started inserting some of his catchphrases into their classes as a point of solidarity. I don't know that, we don't know, how much the other instructors know the full story. Mm-hmm. So like maybe, we don't know if they made fully informed decisions if that was behind it, but perhaps they did. Yeah. There is a line in here that I thought was very interesting in regards to the other instructors. Mm-hmm. And it says, and I'm reading from the lawsuit, and it says, and I quote, "Unlike other popular Peloton instructors that are known for teaching classes on Peloton stationary bike, the plaintiff's success relied on enthusiasm, energy, and instilling encouragement in members." Is there a way to read that isn't really next level douchey?
No.
I don't know how to read that other than I'm the instructor that was really good and the rest of them suck.
Well, there's other things in here that say that too, that out of 20 new instructors that Peloton hired, plaintiffs following were the achieved fast and highest paced growth. Like there's a lot of things that kind of like...
Okay, but like that is, if accurate, that's just factual, right?
True. It's not an opinion.
Yeah, that's not an opinion. That's like a metric that can be tracked, like who gained the most Instagram followers in a certain period of time. So I'm like, okay, but like just flat out saying, unlike the other instructors, my classes have enthusiasm, energy, and like I just like you gotta wonder how long they'll be leaving his catchphrases in their classes after reading that.
Well, especially when it's still their livelihood. It may not be Daniel's, but right. It's still their livelihood. So I don't know that you can rely on instructor enthusiasm towards his lawsuit. If he even has it.
Yeah, it's... Yeah.
And I think that we need to talk about his politics just a little bit here because some of the other instructors, I don't think were aware of some of the things that he had put on Twitter. And I believe that if they were fully informed, I think that they may not be as behind him as this document.
Yeah, I mean, I think regardless of where you land on particular issues, I think it's safe to say that some of the instructors aren't going to be fans of someone who is openly not a Black Lives Matter supporter or is not a trans and LGBTQ supporter. Like that's going to be a
problem for some people. It's going to be
a problem for some of these instructors, whether you like it or not. It's just factual.
Exactly. So I think it's cool that, you know, so many people, Daniel absolutely has a lot of fans.
For sure.
And it's not like I'm saying he hasn't been successful, but I just think that, I don't know. I get that there's a reason and a rationale to put it in here, but I don't know that if we're going to pick apart this document to point to things that like other instructors did or did not support him, I think that maybe there's some other things that need to be included as well, which is why it's one side of the story.
Right. Yeah. And with the Jen Cotton stuff, to me, a lot of that reads like, I mean, I've certainly had relationships with coworkers where we give each other a lot of shit. And if HR were to read any one side of that out of context, it's going to sound pretty awful.
Right.
And I don't know, like, I can't help but wonder if this is a retconning of that. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, I just know in my workplace, I've had people that I've even joked with, like, oh my God, if some of the things we say to each other are so awful that
I've heard you guys say some things.
Yeah.
But I've been on the receiving end and the giving end of those kind of communications at work. And I mean, it's also part of how you have camaraderie.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if that's what was happening here or not.
And I will also say you can have a relationship like that and you can still go too far sometimes.
Absolutely.
And you got to walk it back. Like, so, you know, like it.
Even if that is the case.
Right.
And I mean, it's if these things that were said have the context that it appears to have, where it's just like Jen Cotter said things that were just, you know, like talking about him coming to work drunk, things like that, then that's really not okay. If there was a context there, then I think that it's really unfortunate that was not also included. I will also say that it's like, some of the things that were kind of said were kind of making fun of the fact that he was Irish. And to my knowledge, Jen Cotter is Irish. So that isn't, it's like if she was being derogatory, that does not then make it okay for her to be derogatory. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is I think that kind of proves, or at least gives me the indication that it was taken out of context, because if she's Irish, why would she be upset about somebody else being Irish? That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And I mean, that being said, there's also a difference between being of Irish descent and actually being from Ireland.
Also true.
Right.
Also true.
But yeah, like you tend to think if you're in a group, you've got a little bit more latitude to make fun of or tease that group.
Well, and I also think that, you know, if other instructors that have worked there while Jen Cotter has worked there come forward, maybe they no longer work there, it would be interesting.
Yeah.
Because they might have things to say as well.
Yeah, that's fair, because typically if this description is accurate of her, right, then typically someone who behaves like that, it's a pattern.
Right.
It's not hyper-focused on one individual. So you would think that if that's the case, you would hear more complaints start to come forward, as you do in other cases where somebody steps forward and complains about somebody.
Yeah. And I don't really, like, as far as like him taking time off while he was already on leave of absence, I thought you couldn't, like, you have to take all your PTO before you take your leave of absence. So I guess I don't really even understand what the complaint is there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And it's hard to really know because that's Peloton corporate policy and who, you know, like that we don't know. Like, I know how it works at the places I've worked at, but
well, what is he saying that they complained about, and how does it, like, what did they even say? I didn't read the whole thing.
Yeah,
I didn't have time to read the whole thing.
Yeah, like I read some of it or a good chunk of it, but like it also all kind of blurs together, and
it's a lot.
It's a lot, but yeah, like it just seemed to be more like they weren't very, like, I don't know, they didn't like how much work he was missing.
I mean, he did miss a lot of work. That's facts.
Yeah, but his argument is that, well, like, these were work-related injuries, so
his ear was not work-related.
Well, I guess the pectoral muscle,
which I don't know.
I'm just but that these are injuries you get from working out, and so
that's true,
and so that.
But that was his second injury, and it hadn't even been a year. So, I mean, that's a lot. And like, other instructors have injured themselves, and it's been work-related, and there's never been an issue.
Yeah.
So, like, there has to be more to the story. I'm not even saying he's not wrong, but there's something about his time frame that doesn't make sense then. Like, there's more to the story, because there's other instructors that have had issues.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think ultimately New York is also an at-will state. So
right.
I don't know how that plays into all this in terms of, because he's saying that they didn't give him any documentation for his dismissal, and which seems odd for a company of Peloton size. So it makes me think that that's either not correct or that there's a reason they didn't do that. Because that just seems like such like rudimentary, fundamental thing for a company to do that.
Yeah, I think that if they were to say you did XYZ wrong and then did not give him that information to back that up, I would agree. But if they just said you no longer work here, it's not working, then he's not owed that information.
Yeah, I know where I work, I've seen lots of people get let go where like everyone around the office knew why, but they don't give them a reason because it's an at-will state. So if you give them a reason, you just give them more opportunities to come back and sue you. If you just say no, thank you, we're done here, and then it limits your exposure legally.
So some facts. Let's talk about what we do know, because we've talked a lot about what we don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we know that Daniel McKenna made $260,000 a year, which I was, I guess, surprised at because he's one of the newer instructors. I don't know what number I had in my head, but it wasn't that. But
it's New York City.
I know. I'm not even complaining.
Yeah.
I'm just like that's information we have often wondered. We have often talked about, and so I'm just kind of like doing the math. I'm more like, what does that mean?
Level.
Yeah, that's entry level, right? So then what does that indicate for somebody like Jen Sherman or Robin? I'm just curious. And Robin's very high up in the chain because she's like head of, I don't know, she's a big deal. She's not just an instructor,
Right.
And then, and so that's a fact, like his pay. We also know that he was offered a severance package that he would have gotten 6 months pay. So it would have been $130,000. But he had to sign an NDA and he refused to sign that NDA, which is why we're talking about this today, because otherwise we would not be having a lawsuit.
Yeah. So presumably he did not get that 130.
Yeah.
And but he's suing for $1.8 million.
Yeah. And there's not a lot of proof to back all this up. So I'm really.
It's an initial filing. So I'm sure
there wouldn't be proof at this point.
But there's one screen grab of a conversation that seems
pretty benign.
Yeah, he's not claiming it's a smoking gun necessarily, other than just like they seem like they were fine with me.
I guess it was just more like it's weird that with all of these allegations you chose to include any kind of documentation at this point, and if you did, why that?
Yeah,
that's really more the question mark.
Yeah, it seemed like an odd thing just because it didn't seem like it really established all that much, but I'm sure as it goes through the process, if he has more stuff, he will come forward with it because that's how lawsuits work.
Yeah, agreed. I'm sure this is not the last that we have heard of this saga. No matter what happens, I believe next steps will be that it either gets dismissed outright or that it becomes an arbitrated case and then goes through the next steps. But I think he's going to have, just based on how I have seen court cases go down, the judge is not just like, oh, well, yeah, we just accept what you said. There's always a counter argument. And there's a very good case for Peloton to be like, no, we need to go to arbitration, because that is going to limit, that reduces the amount of time that the court needs to be involved. And they are always they're always pro, let me not be involved if I don't need to be.
Yeah.
So they're going to be like, yeah, let's go do the arbitration first.
They like to clean up the dockets.
Right.
So,
right.
But yeah, my guess is at the end of the day, there's some sort of check written. And
that very well could be.
And because just his severance and stuff, if nothing else, right?
Okay, well, if we give you your money,
they were going to write a check anyway.
Yeah, but now that he's done this, what is there I mean, if we're going to go through the lawsuit and they feel like they were in the right and they were already going to give him that money and they asked him to keep his mouth shut, then he didn't keep his mouth shut. What is the point of paying him now? The cat's already out of the bag.
Yeah,
What's the point?
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like, well, I mean, you already splashed us all over the news. That's what you wanted. You got it. So I just like, I'm just thinking like completely logically here.
Right.
Like if I'm Peloton, what reason would I have to cut you a check now?
Yeah, I guess I just figure that it seems like every lawsuit anymore ends with somebody writes a check to somebody and then they both say that neither side did anything, both say that they didn't do anything wrong and everybody moves on.
Well, that's certainly what happened with Lululemon, but I got to say the tone of this says there's an axe to grind and I don't see this going away with a nice happy ending for anybody.
This is a lot more adversarial and with Lululemon you had one corporate entity versus another corporate entity.
And this is clearly personal.
This is a lot more personal.
Yeah.
For sure.
Very different feel to it. And so, I don't know.
Yeah, it will definitely be interesting to watch it play out. And again, I think the big takeaway right now is that we know one side of the story. Yeah. And so I think based
on what I'm seeing on Instagram, that does not matter to a lot of people.
Well, the people that love Daniel McKenna, they're just going to, obviously they're going to believe what he says because they have a parasocial relationship with him and he's their best friend, even though he doesn't know them. And they that's what they're going to do. But at the end of the day, it's just not that simple.
Peloton in the news.
So Prime Day sales stuff, whatever it's called.
Prime Early Access.
Prime Early Access.
Well, this is the first time that Peloton has been part of Prime Day.
Yes.
Because we haven't been on Amazon. So now it's on Amazon and there were all kinds of things in this early access sale. They had shoes, they had apparel, and they started with, I thought it was interesting, they started with a bike and the guide and accessories, and then they started adding the apparel as the day went on. I thought it was interesting.
Because they were like, well, now that you've got the bike,
you get the stuff.
Buy a hat.
But it was a really good sale. A lot of people reached out to me and said that they were getting the guide because it was on sale for $250 and they were like, cannot pass up at this rate. And a lot of people, there were several people commented the same thing about the bike being $1225. And there were a lot of people that filled in the dumbbells they were missing. They wanted to do their whole weight set, and so this was the only thing missing. So they jumped in and got that. A lot of really good, a lot of good feedback on it. There were a few people that were not happy, and that mostly was around
on the internet.
I know
there were unhappy people.
So one of the things that they were saying is just like people being a little disappointed that it wasn't in Canada, it wasn't in the UK.
Okay, that's a legit complaint.
Peloton has always said that they were going to do that. They were going to add to other countries if this went well. My guess is that's very soon. We're going to see that very soon.
Sure. And do they celebrate Prime Day the same day in the UK? Is it like Thanksgiving? I don't know.
That's a good question.
UK doesn't have Thanksgiving, but Canada does.
They do, and they just had their Thanksgiving.
But yeah, like just a quick perusal. I'm like, oh, these are real discounts. Like a lot of times, I like Prime Day. My flippant attitude at the beginning wasn't about Peloton. It was about Prime Day.
I know.
I think Prime Day is so dumb, and it's like so many times it's like, oh look, I can get a Colander for 5 cents off.
Did you just say a colander?
I did.
It's a colander.
Well, not if it's a fancy one. It's got a little monocle. But it's always just like weird stuff that I'm like, I mean, I guess I would have to buy a spatula at some point, but I'm not like, can't wait for Prime Day, get me a spatula.
I will say it's particularly great if you know that you have a big thing you have to like start shopping for. Like if we were smart, we would already be buying stuff for Brian's college dorm room.
Yeah.
But then again, you don't know where he's going to be.
Yeah,
you don't know
kid's a mess.
I mean, you don't know like if there's already a color scheme you got to work around, or if there's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because that kid cares about color schemes.
Well, if I'm paying for his decorations,
it's going to be a color scheme.
It's going to be a color scheme.
Okay. So,
God, this feels a million years old.
I know,
now.
right? Like Peloton slashing 500 more jobs. That was the big story a week ago. Remember a week ago when you thought Peloton was going to be dead in 6 months?
Okay, so
for 10 minutes?
Can we talk about that? That was really interesting because first I posted an article that the Wall Street Journal had posted. And I think it was Business Insider is where I actually picked it up, but it was all quoting the Wall Street Journal.
Right.
And so then whenever I look into this a bit further, there are other websites posting other articles like CNBC. And suddenly I'm getting this whole different vibe. So Wall Street Journal, they just were like, so tell us a quote. And apparently Barry said something to the effect of, we're going to have that in 6 months. But whenever you look at the CNBC side, the actual question was, when do you expect that all of the changes you have made are going to result in growth again? And he said, we have 6 months to prove ourselves. And that's a very different context.
Yeah, like it went from the actual quote of we expect to see results from what we're doing within 6 months to we have 6 months to live.
Yeah, and that was literally on everybody's, like, I was getting so bombarded.
Yeah.
And the thing is that it didn't make sense to me for 1 second, because I was like, wait, why would we be doing this on Prime, like on Amazon? Why do we put stuff on Amazon?
Right.
Why are we doing releasing the rower? If you only have 6 months worth of fight in you, why even bother with a rollout?
And put that shit on clearance, man. Let's get some real discounts going.
Yeah, because that rower, if it's not even going to be here till December,
right,
then that means we have like 4 months with the rower.
Right.
Hang on tight.
Yeah, it's funny, when I saw the headline, I didn't even click on the article. I was just like, oh, that sounds like bull.
Yeah.
And I just
yeah. So, I mean, and I think that while we're talking about that, we need to also, like, that was the important takeaway from all the articles. But of course, it's horrible that they had to let go of another 500 people.
For real, yeah.
They still have, and this was shocking to me. I hadn't really done the math, but geez Louise, they still have 3,800 people.
And they're saying that this is the end of that, right? Like
they're saying the restructuring is done.
Yeah.
Now, I am a little confused there's a little confusion about that, because restructuring is done.
But how does that affect the stores?
Right. But stores have already been closing. So I don't know if that means that, like, there's no more stores on the table, or if that means they've closed some of the stores they want to close, if they're hoping in 6 months to reassess. I don't know.
Right.
I would love to get some more clarity around that, but that's still a question mark. But it's really, really sad. And I mean, there's people that have been there forever that were moved out with this one, and it's real big changes.
So Yahoo Finance, I guess this was another Wall Street Journal one originally, though, right?
It was.
Yeah.
Now, it's like Wall Street Journal has it in for Peloton, right? All of a sudden. Remember back in the day when they were like in love with Peloton?
Yeah. So, but yeah, we're using the Yahoo version because there's no paywall.
Yeah.
It's a little peek behind the scenes of what our budget looks like. Goldman Sachs made repeated margin calls to John Foley.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, that's never fun.
What?
Only thing I know about margin calls is what I learned from watching Trading Places.
Okay, I know that all places that write articles do this, but it just cracked me up that that's like the Peloton diner, or it looks like it's not the actual Peloton store in the picture. Like it does not. It does not appear. That looks like the Peloton, like in France or something, where they have the diner that you can go to. Because I've seen it posted by members for years. But anyway,
that was the photo they had the rights to.
Yeah, that was exactly
close enough.
Right. So, okay. I don't have a lot to say about this other than we kind of already knew this, right? Like, this is not. Is this new information that he bought the shares and then he pledged the shares as collateral? Maybe that's the new part here.
I think the margin call aspect, because margin call is basically them going like, bitch better have my money. Like, and
he was like, no. I mean, can you just refuse to do a margin call? How does that work?
I mean, again, at the end of Trading Places, like they got their comeuppance and Billy Valentine won the day. But I mean, if you can't make your margin call, I mean, you're out of money. So like that's so.
Well, he talked about that in the article. There was at least a couple of quotes that he was like, yeah, it's been a bad year. I don't think that's really any big surprise to anyone.
Yeah.
Financially, it sucks was basically how I took that quote.
Yeah.
I think they just wanted to kind of pick on him a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably what was driving like the article a while back about him selling the house in the Hamptons that he just bought.
Yeah.
That was probably driving that. Like, okay, I guess we're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
$55 million and gone.
I'll just have to suffer in silence over here in my $8 million. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That sucks.
Yeah. So we've seen some rumors over the past week about, Is Peloton back to trying to make a piece of strength equipment?
Yeah.
No. Moving on.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that does sum it up. Like here, we talked about this months ago, but we know that the people who were working on this, like they were disbanded. It was dead. And they said that it was going to cost, like, number I heard was like $9,000.
Oof.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're never going to make money on this. So they just killed it. So what this person is like, what this YouTube video is saying, this is like what you're hearing in all these different places, is that Vitruvian, they went dark on LinkedIn, and I will say, when that has happened in the past, Peloton has kind of like secretly bought them,
right?
And they're thinking that's what happened here. I don't think that makes sense, and there's a couple of reasons why. One, have you guys been watching the news?
Yeah, like what?
Where's the money?
Yeah, they bought them with what?
Yeah, like there is no money. And if there were an agreement, I would think it would be kind of like we talked about before, where it would be like, if Peloton were to do something with that, like that with Tonal, it would be like a merger. I think that would be what we'd be seeing. I don't think that's happening here, because if Peloton wanted to go back into strength and double down on that, we would be seeing more instructors being hired. Again, we would be seeing other things in the system codes that would be indicating that they are still working on that. We're not seeing that, and we would be needing to see where these financials are coming from. And we know that they would have already had to have been bought, which means that it should show up somewhere financially. Yeah. This just doesn't feel like it's the right time. I'm not saying they never will.
Right.
I'm not saying this company didn't get bought. It was Vitruvian that's making a platform device. But these specs, this patent that this company or this YouTube video is referring to, that is the patent that Peloton had been working on. It was one we talked about. I don't remember what the code name for it was. It was like
Cobra.
Yeah. Cobra. And if it was these documents literally are Cobra. But we know that patents take forever to be approved.
It is a slow process.
It can take up to 2 years. So if that's the case, like, who knows when those were actually applied for, and they're just now getting approved. So I don't think that the patent means anything. I think that it's old stuff. I think that it's been disbanded, and I think somebody did something with Vitruvian, but I don't think it was Peloton.
Yeah. And these companies never give up their patents, right? Because if somebody makes something similar and they hold the patent, it's a payday. Right. So it's like once they've started that process, nobody ever calls the patent office and goes, never mind, you can have that one back. You can now put customizable widgets on your home screen of your iOS device.
Lock screen.
Whoops.
No, that's my bad. I had it in there. To me, it was the same thing. But it's not. And it's just wording on my part, but it is inaccurate, and I take full responsibility for all the confusion. But yeah, you can put these widgets. Okay, so iOS 16, if you have it, they have a new thing that you can add widgets to your customizable lock screen, not home screen. And because of that, then Peloton quickly turned around a widget for that, which I was really surprised at, because this is new, like, iOS just put this out. It's very new. So I was super excited to see that. And I did put it on my phone.
Look at you.
I know. Like seeing my streaks.
I like to see you streak too. Some sad news. Longtime listeners might know Jayvee Nava.
Yeah. And if you don't, people have asked me, who is that? Well, that is Jayvee was the face of One Peloton. She was in the community on the OPP. In fact, for a long time, she was the sole moderator. That woman put up with a lot and deserves a lot of credit for the stuff that she listened to people say to her. And she always tried to help the members. She always tried to be good to people. She really took the community very seriously. And 2014 is how long she's been there. That's literally the beginning. I believe she started by she was pretty early in.
Yeah, that's very early in. So
she went a long way, all the way up to VP, or was it senior VP? I don't want to take a letter from her
for sure. But that's for people that have been following Peloton for a long time. Jayvee Nava, and it's sad to see her go.
Yeah, it is.
For
It
sure.
is.
And she was
I think that's the last vestige of the
original crew.
The original crew.
Jen Sherman.
That's true. That's
But
true.
behind the scenes.
And yeah, I mean, Tom Cortese's still there, right?
I believe so.
I think so.
Yeah.
And he is. I mean, he's not quite original. He's newer, but he's still of that same time frame.
Right.
And a lot of the instructors. I mean, Robin and Cody. They came not long after Jen Sherman. But yeah.
But that's another kind of end of an era moment seeing her leave. So we wish her the best. She was the first person in Peloton we met.
She was. I will never forget that. And she was also the first person to schedule interviews with us.
Yeah.
And she worked with us on a lot of things, including HRI. Homecoming was all Jayvee's deal every year. She was the one that did that. And her team. It was not all her.
Yeah. But which her leaving makes you wonder if it's coming back in any form that we're used to seeing.
I definitely agree. That's a big old question.
Yeah, but
I've been saying that since
the first HRI, which what Homecoming used to be called, that we went to. As soon as we walked in, she
was
like
the first person
walked right over to us, and we were like, "Oh, we're gonna start a podcast," and she was like,
"Oh,
okay, sure."
And then we were like, "We already interviewed Matt Wopers," and she was like, "Oh yeah, he wanted to meet you. Come on over here." That was back when the instructors could hang out in the room with you.
Yes,
it was very chill.
Very different time. Very different time.
Good luck to Jayvee.
Getting the psychological edge with Dr. Jen.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Dr. Jen Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. You may know her from VH1's Couples Therapy with Dr. Jen or VH1's Family Therapy with Dr. Jen. She also has a long-running radio show, The Dr. Jen Show. She's written 4 best-selling books, including The Relationship Fix, Dr. Jen's 6-Step Guide to Improving Communication, Connection, and Intimacy. It's Dr. Jen. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So good to have you. I've got tons of questions. My question of the day is from Christy Allison. She says she would like to hear about your suggestions for motivation with the seasons changing. The seasonal affective disorder struggle this year is real.
Okay. So, first of all, so it sounds like she is struggling with seasonal affective disorder. So she's feeling more depressed as we have less light. So the first thing I think that she should do is look into therapeutic lights. There are these lights that you can put on your desk while you're working, or, as you're putting on your makeup in the morning or anything like that can really help. The studies actually show that they're quite effective, and it's a very specific kind of light, and I don't want to get the name of the light wrong, but you can even get it on like Amazon. So that's one place that I would start, because that's going to send your brain different information. Also, that you want to make sure you're getting enough sleep. You want to make sure that you're doing kind of all of the basic kind of self-care things, enough sleep, getting enough nutrition, that you are making boundaries with people, that you are prioritizing your physical health, that you're getting your workouts in. And I also think that this is a good time to switch up your workouts. That, I'm very much a creature of habit. I only switch mine up like twice a year. Like once every 6 months, I switch it up. But I think that most people benefit from doing it more often. And this is a really good time when you're feeling like you're getting a little blah, when you're feeling like you're down, when you're feeling like you're in a rut. That's a really good time to start throwing in maybe some classes that you haven't taken, maybe a bar class, a Pilates class, a boxing class, something that you hadn't done before that might kind of spark your interest, or at the very least kind of shake things up.
I think that's really good advice. So kind of a two-prong approach. And I guess maybe if it's something that she deals with every year, is it worth also maybe talking to her doctor if this is a thing?
Absolutely. And also a therapist.
Yeah.
I mean, I always say I believe that everybody should have 1 year of weekly therapy, even if you are not someone who's really struggling with mental health issues. I think it's really good for self-reflection, for learning new tools, for having someone who is objective, being able to kind of look at your life and be like, hey, here are some areas where you could improve. So I always recommend therapy before I recommend kind of a psychiatrist, although you do always want to rule out anything physical with your actual physician. But before you go to a psychiatrist, I think it's really important to get talk therapy first and see if learning new tools, having new perspective, having a new cognitive shift can actually solve the problem.
Okay, that's very helpful.
So is this something that would affect people like that live in areas where it's like dark all the time? Do they get freaked out is harsh, but do they have difficulty when all of a sudden, oh, now there's too much light? Or is it just people want light?
Yeah, no, absolutely. When people live in climates where it is dark for longer, it's very, very challenging when it comes to mental health.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's not something that necessarily people acclimate to. Like, even if you were born and raised in an environment like that, it's not like you get used to the inverse. That's still difficult.
Yeah, I think it's difficult for everyone, but certain people are more sensitive to it than other people. But really, a simple light that is for seasonal affective disorder on your office desk can make a huge difference with this, because it's sending signals to your brain that is basically kind of tricking it into thinking that there's more daylight, which is exactly what it needs.
Okay.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I think I'm immune to this.
Yeah.
All my quirks, it benefits me in this, because I'm just like, I don't want to go outside anyway. So.
And one other thing that she may want to consider doing is like a micronutrient test.
Oh.
Vitamin D, most people are deficient in vitamin D, and vitamin D can really affect depression and mood tremendously. So it's worth her looking into that as well.
And that's something you can also ask your primary care doctor just to do like a quick panel, right?
Some doctors have that kind of technology. Others will send you out, but, and others will say, I don't believe in that. So it's finding the right doctor. Sometimes it's someone who's a little more kind of off the beaten path, but also there are a lot of places now, like in my area, there's a place called Next Health where they can do micronutrient tests, where it's kind of a chain of places. So sometimes you don't even need to make an actual doctor's appointment, but your doctor's always kind of the best first line of defense.
Okay.
Yeah, my doctor discovered I was low in vitamin D just from blood work.
Yeah.
So, because I work in a windowless steel and concrete bunker, so I
and
already
you
don't
never go outside.
Right. So it's.
And also in this day and age, a lot of us wear sunscreen to avoid skin cancer. And that means that we're absorbing less vitamin D from the sun because we're doing that by helping our skin.
Interesting.
Okay, so not unlike Dr. Jen After Dark, the takeaway here is you recommend the D.
I always do.
Well, thank you so much for all of that. Until next time, where can people find you?
You can find me on all social media at Dr. Jen Mann, 2 N's on Jen, 2 N's on Mann, and also my weekly column with InStyle magazine called Hump Day with Dr. Jen that comes out every Wednesday.
Thank you.
Clip out.
So if you're listening to this podcast, you probably are a fitness person.
Absolutely.
And if you're looking for something different to add to your fitness routine, maybe think about Fight Camp.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's interactive at-home boxing. Brings the best workout in the world into your gym, and it makes it fun. There's thousands of workouts by all different kinds of trainers. They've added a lot of trainers in the last year. They've added a lot of really cool things. Like now you can add your Apple Watch. You can link it to your app. Mm-hmm. It's super cool. They also, I used to make sure that people knew this, but now they have Android and Apple apps. So you're able to use the app no matter what your phone system is. You also have live punch counting stats that motivate you to push harder and help you map out your progress.
And you get to actually punch something.
I know. I love that. I do. That is the best. If you're going to, I can't just punch the air. Even when I do a Peloton class, I always use my Fight Camp bag. It's right there.
So join the biggest boxing community in the world without leaving your home. Fight Camp packages start at just $99.
They even offer some great financing options so you can get started for as low as $9 a month. To get everything you need, go to fightcamp.com/theclipout to learn more.
That's fightcamp.com/theclipout.
Instructors in the news.
We have a new Peloton Baby.
We do. Chelsea Jackson Roberts had her baby, Noble Antoine Roberts, born 9/21/22, and Rainbow Baby. So lots of love to Chelsea's family.
Absolutely.
Very, very, very. Noble is very, very lucky to have such a great mom.
So I have a question for you. It might be dumb, but I'm a boy. What's a rainbow baby?
Yeah, it's really sad. It's a term for a child born to a family that has previously lost one, or more children due to stillbirth, miscarriage, ectopic pregnancy.
Okay. Well, now I feel bad for asking a sad question.
I know,
but she uses a hashtag,
there's
so she's
that, and there's people that don't know, so it's not a bad thing to explain.
Yeah, for sure. So
I just wanted to get I had to look it up because I wanted to make sure I got the wording right. I don't want to,
especially with that topic for sure. So now I have been educated. Cody Rigsby dropped by his alma mater, Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, he has Back in the Ballroom. So Gregory messaged me today, and Gregory was my Dancing with the Stars buddy every week while Cody was on. We would talk every week. He stopped in St. Louis and we met him.
Yeah.
So he was filling me in on this picture, Team Shangela, because I was like, okay, I actually don't know who Shangela is.
Right.
And Gregory never gets mad at me for not knowing current events. And so she is one of the top contestants from RuPaul's Drag Race. And she is on a show called We're Here, which is an Emmy-winning show on HBO. And of course, she's on Dancing with the Stars this season. And she is a fan favorite in all three. So Cody was there and cheering for Shangela.
While we're speaking of Cody Rigsby, he sat down with People magazine to talk about his mental health journey. Yeah.
And, I know he shared before that he grew up at times he was homeless. And part of this article, part of this journey that he speaks of is that financial stability and what role that can play in mental health, which absolutely the two are connected. And anybody who says otherwise is very, very comfortable with their money.
Right.
And so
I mean, you can certainly have money and still have mental health problems.
Of
but
course.
I would think not having money is going to compound them.
Of course. I mean, it's just like you end up in a cycle that you have resources when you have money that you don't have when you don't have money. So you could take two people that have the exact same mental health issue, right? And one person is going to have money and have the resources to get care for that in a way that somebody who doesn't have money can't. And that is what I mean by that. So, but he talks about all of that in this article. So if you want to read for yourself, then make sure that you get our newsletter and it will be sent directly to you.
Christine D'Ercole was on
Broadway Podcast Network.
Yeah, it's Leading Lady Fitness, episode 13. I guess a whole bunch of different Broadway-related podcasts did episodes about mental health.
Yeah, and so they talked to her about mental health, wellness, and they also talked to her about staying inspired. So if you want to check that out, it's like you said, Leading Lady Fitness, and it's episode 13.
Robin Arzan is featured not just in Women's Health magazine, but on the cover
of the November issue. Congrats to Robin Arzan. Like, that is such a huge deal. It's going to hit newsstands on 10/25, and she asks everyone to tag her if you get a copy. So, whoa, it's going to be a lot of tags.
That's a lot of tags.
Congrats to Robin.
And speaking of Robin, she got to visit the White House.
She did, and she posted pictures at the White House, but I chose to use this video because it was the behind the scenes video of her day at the White House, which I thought was a little more exciting because she showed how she got ready, started off with her workout, and then she went and got dressed and did all of her makeup. And I'm sure that was just like, I can't even imagine these instructors just getting to hang out at the White House.
I know.
It's just crazy. But congrats. She's having quite the week.
Yeah.
Or quite the month, I guess.
Kendall Toole talked to PopSugar.
Well, Michelle K.
Oh, yeah.
This is Michelle K.
There you go. Over at PopSugar Instead of Shape.
Yeah, she's mixing it up. But she's freelance. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
And, it's funny. Every time I chat with Kendall, like, I'm sure they chat so many times because she's interviewed her like 4 times.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was great that they got to talk about her collaboration with Spiritual Gangster and Peloton. And they also talked about World Mental Health Day. And Kendall talked about the emotional roller coaster of finally meeting members in the studio and why she intentionally chooses to get off of Instagram occasionally. I get it.
You're feeling that today.
Yeah, my phone is mysteriously quiet, but I think it's because it went on Do Not Disturb because we're filming. So I'm scared.
So Mariana Fernandez completed a triathlon.
She did, and she posted the entire, like, she posted highlights from the entire day.
Yeah.
And it made me so incredibly happy to see. And she was so close to the podium. She was 3rd place. I'm sorry. She watched the 3rd person cross the finish line. She was right behind them.
Gotcha.
That's how close she was to the podium. And she had a great time. So I am super excited for her. I think it's so cool to see when the instructors are able to participate in things like this and they share them. And I know we don't have the music playing, and don't, because it'll mess up the sound. It'll sound all craziness.
Yeah.
But the song is Feeling Good by Nina Simone. And it's like really great to watch the video with that in the background. It's a great remix of the song. So definitely check out her Instagram if you haven't already. She is quickly becoming one of my favorite instructors. Very sweet lady.
Well, if you like it when instructors compete in things, then you'll like this.
This is crazy because Susie Chan did a half marathon last Sunday, then went to the studio
and taught a class.
The class I did for my 500th. I was just blown away by that. I mean, who can run 13 miles, make it look easy? She's not even sweaty.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, oh, just adorable. Look at her. and then she pops into the studio and teaches a 30-minute Hit and Hills class, which I was ready to die at the end of. But congrats. And a lot of the Peloton family was there too. So that's really cool. Women and Children First UK. And they were there as well. So it's really neat that the instructors do this stuff. I love it. Also one of my favorite instructors. I have a lot of favorites. It's great.
And speaking of instructors doing things, again.
Okay, I just thought this was so cool though.
Yeah, so Tobias Heinze,
yes,
is competing in the Manaslu Trail Race. What? No?
I don't think that's how it's pronounced.
Oh.
But and I think it's
Manaslu Trail Race.
There you go.
That's a different thing entirely.
He says that it's a dream come true. In less than a month, he is going to participate with his soulmate, running around the 8th highest mountain in the world, over 180 kilometers and more than 10,000 height meters. I don't know what a height meter is.
I think that's like elevation.
Oh, okay. The race will bring them up to 6,000 meters over sea level. And he is asking for everyone in Peloton to pop on to the training sessions with him. He's going to be on the tread training, and he wants to share his training with us. And he says that he wants to do it with us. Let's support him.
Yeah.
Let's get out there and support him. That's incredible. And I think he might pronounce his name Tobias.
Oh, okay.
I wish I knew more about how to speak German.
Ben and Leanne have an update on their house.
They do. They're going to be building their very own Peloton gym in their back garden, which is gorgeous. That's their garden.
Wow.
Does anyone have any good recommendations on companies in the UK to work with to make this a reality? And then he asked that question on his story. I'm sure he got a million responses.
Yeah, I have no doubt.
I'm sure they've got that covered. But
yes.
yeah, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Yeah, that looks really nice. They should put in like cameras, that way if there's another pandemic, they can just go out to the garage and work.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure. Hopefully there's never another pandemic.
I mean, I'm hoping too, but I'm just
like, let's not even put that out in the ether.
Yeah.
There's enough going on.
The Clip Out.
Joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube is Angelo from MetPro, here to answer all of your fitness and nutrition based questions. Hello.
Hi.
Hey guys.
I feel like this next question we have for you could be about Tom.
Okay.
But it's not. But it could be. This woman.
So how to eat if you're really, really funny?
Dana Nowlin Hartman wrote in and she said, finding healthy foods my husband will eat. He hates vegetables and fish.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going? Like,
I get it. If we added 45 more items.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Ragu. There you go.
Just eat ragu.
So Dana, was it?
It was Dana, yes.
Dana. Well, so he doesn't like vegetables or fish?
Yes.
That's very workable. That's very workable. Tom, are you taking notes?
Yeah, like after me, you're like, oh, that's easy.
So, first of all, it sounds like there's going to be lots of good protein options then. So turkey, chicken, even a lean red meat or pork is not going to be the end of the world. You can do some dairy-based proteins. There's cottage cheese, there's yogurt, there's plant-based proteins. You can do beans, legumes. You can do nuts and seeds. So he's going to have all kinds of options for proteins. And then if at the end of the day he's still not getting enough protein, you can always supplement. You can do the quick egg white thing, or you can have protein powder. So there's going to be lots of options for protein. I don't think you're going to have any troubles there. My recommendation is pick 2 proteins that he likes, cook them in bulk, keep them in the fridge. It's easy then. So if you have, rotate. So right now, my wife and I have made up all barbecue, and so I'll do usually 1 red meat and 1 lean meat. And so in case for your husband, Dana, you do like chicken or turkey, something simple like that. Have them in bulk, keep them in the fridge, ready to go. Make it really easy. Now the vegetable deal, that's a little trickier. So I would challenge you to go through the list. Now I've challenged Tom on this and I learned my lesson.
There's literally nothing.
Literally nothing.
Yeah.
But I bet that you'll be able to find some vegetable that he may like, or maybe some salad. And if not, really have him stock up on the fruits. He'll still get fibers. He's going to get a lot of the nutrients. It's not exactly the same as vegetables. You can supplement. You can do like a veggie powder, and that's fine. I prefer whole, actual, natural vegetables, but there's ways around that. Have them really stock up on the fruits. And so my recommendation with the fruits might surprise you. I'm a big fan of, so my clients are coming to me with a specific goal. Like here's what I want. I want to build muscle. I want to increase performance, or I want to lose weight. That's about 90% of the clients that reach out to us. And so I'm going to have specific items for them that I want them to do. But I also need those items to be feasible, time managed, quick, and reproducible. So I'm looking for portable, I'm looking for low perishability, and I'm looking for quick. So that kind of means that doing things like a small apple, a pear, a couple plums, grapes, even berries, if you're not having to leave them in a cup in your car in 100-degree weather, can be pretty efficient. But go with combinations for snacks. What your husband might like, Dana, is a combination of some fruit, some nuts, and some jerky. That would be a great combo to get in. That's going to be very healthy, very clean. It would be right in line with what I might have a typical client, regardless of goal, using as a very convenient, on-the-go, quick, easy snack. So things like that you might try, and hopefully some of those ideas will help you, Dana.
Very helpful.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for all that. And if people would like this sort of stuff tailor-made to their goals, where can they find you?
Yeah, come to metpro.co/TCO.
Wonderful.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Peloton Celebrity Sightings.
So we have some new stuff regarding the Ashton Kutcher series, Our Future Selves.
We do. Yeah, it's really cool. So it's exactly 1 month. This week has been the mental world awareness stuff that they had taken off a few days for. I tell you that because there were a bunch of encore classes, and one of the cool encore classes that they had was the latest episode of Our Future Selves, dropped last night at 7:30 Eastern on Tuesday night, and Allison Felix was the guest, and Both Allison, Felix, and Ashton Kutcher were on the ride, as well as many of the instructors. So many of the instructors were on for the encore portion, and it was very, very cool, very, very special. I hope that you saw that because I posted that it was happening. Also, only a month left to support Ashton and Thorne as he races in the New York City Marathon. That's going to be very cool for him. I think this has been a very big, successful thing, and I'm so glad they had the opportunity to do it.
Absolutely. And also, these classes are now available to watch on the bike.
They are, yeah. That dropped last night, too. So all of a sudden, you can access our future selves on the bike. So if you haven't gotten a chance to do it, maybe you don't have a tread, you definitely should check these out. They're a lot of fun.
Peloton artist collaborations.
So we have a couple new artist series. Daddy Yankee.
Which I have no idea.
No idea. I was like, oh, damn Yankees. Oh, no. That's not what this is.
No, I know. I said this to Brian. I was like, your 17-year-old. Oh, my God, he's 18. Oh,
yeah.
Jeez. I was like, oh, Daddy Yankee. And he was like, oh, yeah, I know him. I was like, oh.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he must have.
I don't think 40-year-olds are his demo.
No, probably not. And then also FKA Twigs.
Yeah, so this specific one actually dropped late last week after we had recorded, and it is for the UK Black History Month artist series. So they're kind of both overlapping each other slightly, so I wanted to call out both of them.
Okay. Yeah, FKA Twigs sounds like a restaurant. Like,
it does.
Hey, you want to go to O'Charlie's or FKA Twigs?
It does, absolutely.
It's going to have like an old-timey bicycle on the wall, and they sell you pot stickers.
I'm worried. We talked about this last week, and I just don't remember it.
I think I would remember making FKA Twigs jokes.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I don't know.
And also, there's a babyface class coming.
Yeah. So people by invite only were invited to see Babyface live in studio. He is going to be there on Friday, October 21st in the Ally Love class, and then at 5:45, Kirsten Ferguson. So people, like I said, got these invitations and they were asked if they wanted to come. And it says in the actual invite, it said something to the effect of, don't pass this on. And that's why I got the impression, the way it was worded, that he would actually be in class.
Gotcha.
So if you are a Babyface fan, make sure you take those classes live. Because I tell you what, there was nothing better than seeing Lizzo walk into that class. That was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. So if you feel that way about Babyface, be on these classes.
Past guest update.
So last week we talked about CJ Albertson was gearing up to try and reclaim the world record for
the 50K.
The 50K.
Yeah. And so his previous world record had been smashed by somebody from South Africa. And they had gotten a world record of 2 hours, 40 minutes and 13 seconds. And then CJ Albertson's past record was 2 hours, 42 minutes and 30 seconds. His new one, 2 hours, 38 minutes and 44 seconds. My God.
That's insane.
Insane.
Yeah.
Dude is so freaking fast. I am so just in awe of his abilities. I don't even know what to say.
Do you know how old he is?
I mean, I think he's in his 20s.
So when
we talked to him, he just looked, I know I'm getting old, but he just had the baby face. You know what I mean? He's so young.
So when do you reach a tipping point for, obviously he's fit and he will be very fit.
But
for a long time.
That's a fair question.
But when do you reach a tipping point of okay, you'll still be faster than most people, but not necessarily at this level?
I seriously have no idea. I would think that he has already reached the point of he's going to be he's probably at the best. I don't know. I've seen, I'm sitting here thinking about it and I'm like, there are people that I have seen come out in their late 30s and their early 40s and run faster than they've ever run before. So
right.
I don't know. I don't know how it's possible to even run as fast as he does now.
Yeah.
So to wrap my head around doing that for years to come, I just can't.
No, that's fair.
So I don't know the answer to that. There are people that are much better educated on this topic than I am. But either way,
it's amazing.
Mind-blowingly cool.
Yeah.
So proud of CJ Albertson.
In case you missed it.
there was another apparel drop.
Well, it's actually not. We talked about this already, but I wanted to bring this up because this particular apparel drop that we did talk about last week, it's a new style of bra because it has the one shoulder, but you can wear it with an extra strap on the side. And that is a game changer for some ladies. So if you need a little extra support, but you really like the one shoulder thing going on, this might give you a little more confidence to try it.
You're back in business.
Right, because now you've got an extra strap should you need it. And it's really cute because it's got like the extra layer underneath it. Very cute.
Peloton birthdays.
Only one birthday this week, and it's Stephen Little.
Stephen Little.
Yeah.
Talk about instructors.
Yeah, newer listeners aren't going to know who that is, but he was a big damn deal when we first started recording this show.
Yeah.
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 And so his birthday is on October 18th. So
happy birthday, Stephen Little.
If you're still following Stephen Little out there, wish him a happy birthday.
I am, and he's out traveling all kinds of places with his puppy dogs.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Eliotte Woodford. Hey, Eliotte, how's it going?
Hi.
I'm so glad you wore your Peloton shirt. I love it.
I did. I thought it was appropriate.
We should say for the people that are only listening, that can't see, that its last name is our first name is OTTE. So it's
they're
so people
looking.
aren't like trying to make the voice match the name in their head, and they're getting
French
all
feminine spelling.
Yes.
ELIOTTE. It throws everyone off, but
that's
it's my name.
All of a sudden, that third grade saying, that's my name, don't wear it out, just like popped into my head.
I have introduced myself before and been like, hi, my name is Eliotte. And then immediately the response was, well, what do you go by? And I was like,
I just said.
Well,
Elliot?
I just said, okay, all right, this is what we're doing.
I think they just didn't hear you. I'm going to go with they didn't hear you because I say all kinds of crazy stuff when I have no idea. I'm getting old, so I don't know what people say. And I'm just like, okay, sure.
Why not?
I have no idea what I'm agreeing to. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous game. So when did you come across Peloton and decide I got to have this?
Well, I guess I had known about Peloton for probably almost its inception. Living in Los Angeles and I'm a professional singer and dancer and performer. So that means I'm very much health workout adjacent, especially what my interests were and still are. So I had heard about it for the longest time. And so when they came out with the bike, I didn't really think anything of it. Because normally I'm on tour, so that just didn't really make sense for my life. And B, I at the time strongly hated indoor cycling. I just didn't understand it, didn't get it. I was like, the few times I'd done it, I don't know if my bike was fitted incorrectly, or just didn't enjoy the teachers, or I take it back. Teachers have always been great, but it's just, I just didn't like it.
Just didn't click for you.
Didn't click for me. And I was like, oh, okay, well that's a cool concept, but it's not for me. So all that to say, cut to a few years, I'm a huge lover of the group workout Berries Boot Camp is what it used to go by. And so I'm very connected with that company, and have lots of friends that teach there and all that stuff. And I've been going for years. And same thing with my husband, got him into it. He really enjoyed it. And so I guess I should back up even more. So as a professional dancer, I actually have known Rebecca Kennedy since 2008.
Yeah.
So, and she also used to teach at Berries Boot Camp. So whenever I was in New York City for work, or just there, otherwise we would meet up, and one of the good ways for us to see each other was I would just come and take her class and we would, catch up. And so I noticed I think it was 2018 or something, I was in the city and I was like, I didn't see Rebecca on the schedule. I was like, that's so weird. I was like, okay, let me hit her up. So I hit her up and she's like, oh, I'm actually not working for Berries anymore. I can't really say why.
She was in the quiet period.
Yeah, she was in the quiet period when she was developing everything for the tread. And I was like, okay. And then, or I guess at the time it had just been announced at the tech convention. And so she's like, this is kind of what I've been doing, just as an FYI. And I was like, what? And so I checked it. I was like, this looks awesome. Like, this is way more my speed. At the time I was on a break from touring. So I was like going to Barry's all the time, spending way too many dollars. And I was like, it's just an expensive addiction to have.
Yeah.
And so literally they were about to open it to sales. I think literally like that week, all this happened perfect timing.
Wow.
And I talked to my husband and I was like, look at this. We basically can do like the boot camp style workouts that we love at home for like the price of a singular class. Like, that's amazing. So I basically made an appointment literally like the next day at like the Pasadena showroom on the tread to try it out. And, you know, this was the Tread Plus at the time. And I went and I loved it because it was very similar to like the bougie treadmills I like to run on. And I was like, this is amazing. And I like literally bought it that day. So, and then I got it delivered like November 2018, I guess. I was I think, if not it was one of the first treads to be delivered in Los Angeles.
Wow. Which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So I have to ask.
So I got the tread first.
I have to ask a question. Tread Plus, did you keep it or did you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
I have pain in my heart when I talk about this.
Oh,
like
no.
Real emotions bubble to the surface.
She's gonna break me.
She's
can
welling
tell.
up.
Oh no.
No, Crystal, I'm not going to break you because I love the Tread Plus. I would have the Tread Plus. Spoiler alert, I recently had to get the Tread and trade in the Tread Plus because so we've moved during pandemic, and prior to the pandemic, I think they offered the service where they help you move it or, you know, take it down, put it back together, something like that along those lines. Obviously during the pandemic, they had to stop that service. So they're like, well, you have to take it apart yourself and put it back together yourself. Here are some videos. So we did that. And I think we did a fine job. But then because of COVID, we were building a new house. So it sat in storage, like half put together for almost a year. So I don't know if that made it weird. I don't know. But when we eventually did move into our new house, again, had to put it together ourselves. And it was fine until it wasn't fine. I was literally, I think I was in the middle of doing like Just Sim Saturday 60 and like the tread stopped at some point. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And it was like my first one back, like, you know, and so then I like, you know, finished the class on the bike, but I was just like, I was so bummed. And so they like tried to fix it a few times. You know, they thought it was a smart chip. It wasn't that. Then they replaced the monitor, but at first they brought the wrong monitor. They had to bring the right monitor. And so like it was all these fixes and they just deemed it like they couldn't fix it, or they thought the issue was the base, which because of the recall, they can't replace
Give you
the
a
base.
new base. Yeah.
So they're like, but you can do the refund and get the new one. So man, I shed tears.
I bet.
Because I love the Tread Plus so much. So we've had the tread, the normal tread, the new one. I don't know what to call it.
We call it Tread Minus.
Yeah, Tread Minus for like the past maybe month and a half.
How is that going?
I mean, obviously it's fine. It's wonderful. I mean, it's not the slat belts, which, you know, are very cushy and wonderful. But it's fine. I actually did a run on it yesterday, and I'm always wary of like my knees and my joints, and you know, I feel like I haven't felt the difference in terms of like impact, knees, joints, etc. But obviously it feels different like while you're running on it. You hear like your foot impact more than on the Tread Plus.
Yeah.
And like obviously the size is just smaller.
Yeah.
We all know that.
Yeah.
But other than that, like it's still fine. It's still enjoyable. But if they come out with another Tread Plus version B or whatever in the future, I wouldn't be surprised if I switch to that, just depending on what it is. But
this is great though, because people have been wondering, and there's not a lot of people who have done a lot on
from
both.
Plus to back to the other. Yeah.
I mean, there will be soon, but not a lot of people who
if
spend a
I
lot of
didn't
time on both.
have to switch to the Tread, I would have kept the Plus for sure.
Yeah.
Like it was a no-brainer for me. The Tread Plus is just a better machine. that's my opinion. Everyone, is entitled to their opinion. But I just think it's a better treadmill.
That's why they call it a plus.
Yeah, I mean,
it is.
If you're going to have an upcharge like that, it better be.
Yeah.
Yes, it should.
So it's not a slight.
But yeah, so Crystal, I don't know what you want to do with that information.
I'm just...
She's keeping it. She keeps pretending.
I'm keeping it for now. I just get worried. I get worried that somebody is going to come up with this rationale that's going to convince me. But like so far, being that I'm a little older than you, Elliott, just a smidge, and well, I just like to pretend that it's enough that it matters. But my knees, I just like running outside just really hurts, and so I'm worried that over time that running on the tread is going to do the same thing. And so I guess I'm just really concerned about that. But I haven't heard anybody say that. Yeah. I mean, it's conjecture on my part, but it's a lot of money to put out there and hope.
I can't pavement run, or like forever ago, a doctor I was seeing told me not to do it because I noticed that I was getting I would feel great in a run, and then 2-3 days following that, I just couldn't walk. It's just the impact, no give. So I'm just very wary of pavement running for myself. And especially with dancing, I'm trying not to do overuse injuries, I'm using the same things over and over again. So that's why tread running became a thing. And that's why initially I was, and still am, very drawn to the Woodway treadmills, which also have slat belts. And then, obviously when the Tread Plus came out, I was like, this is for me. So I think you can keep it. And then
she's in team keep it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm 100% team keep it. There's no doubt in my, if yours is working, keep it.
Yeah.
Okay. She hasn't had any problems.
No,
at all.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. Mine was perfect until literally we had to move and it sat in cold storage for forever.
Yeah.
Well, I should also just put this out there as a movie guy. Trigger warning for Bad Boys for Life, because it features a Tread Plus.
Tread Plus. I remember.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yep. Yeah. That's right.
I miss it.
It was almost Crystal's Tread Plus.
It was.
Oh my goodness!
They were looking for the movie company was looking for
the production team.
I did, and they were like, if they couldn't figure out another way, we were going to ship mine down there.
We were just too far because they filmed in Miami.
Yeah,
and it was just they found one closer, but they were.
See, being in the Midwest sucks. What can I say?
I know, but maybe if you had shipped yours, it wouldn't be working today.
Also true.
But we would have met Will Smith, which wasn't scary at the time.
That's also true.
Womp womp.
It was one bad day. It was one bad day.
I know. It's tough. It's tough for me.
I bet. we don't want to make it awkward for you. So now, all right, you said you didn't like cycling classes. Have you come back around on that? Are you taking cycling classes now?
Okay. So, yes and no. I don't really know.
Are you running for something? Are you running for office? What is...
Should I do my hand like this?
Yeah, you're like, I am currently working on a position paper that will make very clear.
Very clear.
Yeah.
No, okay. So I got the Tread Plus 2018, and then I had it for at least a year. I think at some point I finally took a cycling class I liked, a singular one.
Okay.
Just
found one.
Just one. I was like, oh, that wasn't horrible. I enjoyed that. And maybe it's the bike thing. Again, I don't know what the issue was. I just hadn't liked any prior. And then it got to the point, I was just, I was locked in. Once we got that Tread Plus, I was 100% in the Peloverse. I was listening to you guys. I was on all the groups. My husband was like, please shut up, stop talking. I've read every article on the internet, all the things. So I was in it 100%. So obviously after a while, there's the Peloton FOMO that happens.
Yeah.
And so I had tried the bike, maybe at a hotel, or at some point I had gotten a few opportunities to try the bike. And I was like, oh, wow, this feels different than what I'd experienced before. It's just, again, a really great piece of equipment. And obviously I already knew the content and loved how they created the content and metrics, et cetera, all the things that are great about Peloton. So then I was just kind of like, well, we should probably get the bike.
Need a matching set.
That way we have a low impact option.
You don't want your tread to be lonely.
Right.
Yeah. We don't, we
you could work out at the same time.
Exactly. Exactly.
I like where your head's at.
It all worked out. So obviously we ended up getting one because we know how the story goes. And so we've had that. And then, I think last year we, upgraded to the Bike Plus at some point. So now currently we have the Tread and the Tread Plus. No, I take that back. The Tread and the Bike Plus.
There we go.
Okay, got it. And you are currently taking bike classes as well as tread classes.
I am.
Okay.
Do you remember whose class it was that finally broke through for you?
Ooh. I honestly, okay, so I think my issue with cycling classes that are not Peloton, that they ride on feel and et cetera, as opposed to metrics. I think from like a science background and like, a medical background and like very, physical and athlete and in tune with my body background, like I don't like how a lot of those classes do things that are unhealthy for you. They like turn the resistance way down. You're out of the saddle spinning that, RPMs are just unnatural and dancing and all that stuff. And I was like, none of this is safe. So what I think I enjoyed about the bike, not only the excellent piece of machinery, but also the fact that the classes were taught safely and, had good class plans and were really great workouts. And so like that was a huge difference for me. And since I've gone back classes like that, I'm just feeling safe in this class. I don't want to hurt myself. My legs don't need to be going that fast. They just don't they just don't. So that was a huge thing for me. But then as far as I love a Cody moment. Like we used to run in the same dance circles. So we have tons of mutual friends, but so like he's cool. I know a few of the instructors from like random life stuff. So I think, I really enjoyed his classes, and Robin is a good time as well. And so, I think it was just like that it was rooted in good teaching.
Sure.
That wasn't going to kill me. And then, just the content and the machinery are top notch.
That makes total sense to me. A lot of people feel that way about some of the other companies out there. And I get it. I do, because there are absolutely things that are not safe. People don't always believe that, but it's true.
Yeah. The whole thing of like, oh, I should have resistance when I get out of the saddle. It's like, I had never experienced that prior to a Peloton class. I was like, oh, wow, this makes way more sense. I feel way safer.
Yeah.
My knees aren't going to blow out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I would never having done it just from riding a bike when I was a kid, it's like I would always go out of the saddle when I was like going up a hill.
Exactly. When you need
I
the
needed
power.
leverage. And so it's like, if there was no resistance, what are you pushing against?
That's the problem. Nothing.
Yeah. So I think that led me to the bike, and now I like the bike and all the things I've liked, specifically Peloton, in terms of however cycling goes. I can't say I enjoy cycling now, but I like riding the Peloton and taking those classes. I feel they know what they're doing.
So now that COVID has changed, I won't say it's over, because I don't know that it'll ever be over, but it's different.
We can transitioned.
We're free to move about the country again. So hopefully touring will be back in your life if it's not already. And what is your schedule going to look like whenever, because your job's busy, you're on the go a lot. How are you going to keep up with all that?
Well, I think at this point it's a practice for me. It's a discipline for me. It's a habit for me. And also it helps with my sanity. I can't say that I'm always sane, but
few of us
if
are.
I didn't work out, yes, if I didn't work out, then we'd have issues. So I think for me, it's like I have to work out every day. I just feel off if I don't. As a mover, my body feels achy if I haven't moved. So, when I'm on tour, I typically work out every day on tour. That's like, I'm used to that habit. Some hotels have great gyms. Other ones, even very nice hotels, have surprisingly horrible gyms, which is always so hard for me to understand.
Yeah, I get that.
Like you spend $1,001 on like the scent you spray in the lobby,
right?
But like you can't have a good gym. Like, I don't know.
I agree. Thank you.
It blows my mind.
Yes.
It blows my mind. I secretly just want to be like a gym designer for hotels. Like, just it's not that hard, people, to get it right.
Right?
But,
why is it always some like dark hole in a corner?
Always.
I don't understand.
Yeah,
Why?
I would say about a third of the time, if I like wander to the gym with you, it's like, is this a mob hit?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Right. Now
Yeah.
try being a woman and going by yourself. It's terrifying. You go down this long hallway and you hope for the best.
Yep.
I mean, that's our lives every day.
It's one of my first things when I get into a hotel. I like put my bags down. I just go find where the gym is and take a look at it. And I'm like, okay, let me see what's possible.
Right. Is this happening? Is this not happening?
Yeah. But the wonderful and great thing about Peloton, as we all know, obviously we have access to the app when we're traveling.
Yes.
And that is great. Like, I don't feel like there's an interruption to what I do because of that. If they don't have equipment that I feel I can use, or even if my schedule's wonky, like I've done, HIIT cardio workouts and body weight strength workouts in my hotel room, if that's the only thing, that works with the schedule or just the place. And then obviously if there's equipment, I can use the app and, things like that. So I feel like the app is a very underrated and underused thing, which is weird to me because I'm like, there's so much there. You have access to literally thousands upon thousands of classes. Like, there's
Barry would love to hear this. You need to send a note to Bear.
Good old Bear.
Barry McCarthy, not Barry's.
Oh, yeah. Good call, Tom. Yeah, we don't want anybody to think we're hitting
Uncle Barry.
Yeah. One of those two need to change their name.
Yeah, one of them's going to have to go.
Yeah.
I know. One seems more stubborn than the other. I'll let everyone decide who they
My money's on the old white guy.
There you go. I didn't say it.
No, I can say it. I'm an old white guy. I can.
Too funny. So let's see. Can we hear any fun stories from work? Like, just whatever you feel is okay to share.
Well, from work, I don't know. I just I don't know anything. I mean, I've been blessed to do some really cool projects. I get to tour a lot with some big names, and I've gotten to do some fun movies and music videos and television performances. I've basically done like all of the award show performances that you can think of. And like right before COVID hit, we literally finished right before COVID, got to do the Prom, which was a Broadway musical. Now it's a movie musical that you can find on Netflix, and got to do it with like Meryl Streep and James Corden and Nicole Kidman and Andrew Rannells. So Kerry Washington, Miranda DeBose, like list goes on. And I was also very blessed to get to do Hairspray Live a few years ago with Ariana Grande. And and so it's just, I've gotten to do some fun things. And I think it's kind of been a random path. I've just tried to be really open to opportunities that come my way.
You're so humble. Yeah. You're so humble. Like, so these are amazing things you're talking about.
You mentioned you had a medical background. So like, did you go to school to be like a doctor, or?
I was a pre-med in undergrad and college. I actually went to Washington University in St. Louis.
Heard of it.
Down the street from you guys.
Just up the street.
Home of Harold Ramis.
Yeah.
Yes. So I did my undergrad there. So I was going to be a double major with dance and biology. But as you guys may know, WashU is very well known for its research and also its medicine at that. And so if you're a biology major, kind of the focus is research. And my passion wasn't research. It really was more clinical based. I wanted to be a doctor. So I decided not to major in biology. So I ended up majoring in dance and marketing, and then did all the pre-med. So just kind of did pre-med, and then also was like a women and genders minor, sort of. So it was just a little busy.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be a doctor. I love math and science. I'm kind of useless in it now because I obviously don't get to challenge my brain in that way anymore.
Have there been changes in math? Have there been breakthroughs? Math is totally different now.
There is new math.
Let's not talk about the new math. It makes me mad.
There's new ways to arrive at the same answers, though.
I don't understand, but there's new math. Okay,
there is. I don't. It's really frustrating. The way they taught us to add and subtract, it's all different now.
So you're probably right on the cusp of when they change that. So here's the advantage: when you have children. they will tell you.
It's true.
And this is a godsend. Don't help them with the homework.
They literally say that.
Because you'll just screw it up. And you'll
we taught them this way. Don't
and you're
going
to try and teach them the different way. And
don't do it.
Not going to work. And so I was like, anything that gets me out of helping kids with homework, I am all for it. I don't understand what people bitch about Common Core or whatever it's called. I
wish I could do that. I already know I'm not going to be able to.
No, see,
I
you're
just had
good
my
at
first
math.
child. He's only 18 months, but so I have a while before he learns real math. But I'm just going to be the nerd that's going to be reading his textbook. So then I know how to do it correctly. And then I know thyself. I'm just going to be reading the textbook.
Since you like math and science, it probably won't drive you as crazy. But man, I'm just like, okay, you guys told us a certain way and now you changed the way. And
rude.
Rude, exactly. And my daughter's doing equations like this and it's not for algebra.
Grouping.
It's grouping. It's all grouping. And this is this is just for adding and subtracting. I'm like, what is happening?
Just extra work for no reason.
I mean, to me,
I think it's to teach you to visualize it so you can arrive at it faster. Like if you see kids that are good at, they'll boom, boom, boom. And even so much of math, it really is just memorization. And they're trying to remove that so you can actually logically arrive at the conclusion instead of just, I know that 8 times 9 is whatever 8 times 9 is.
Yeah.
I was a mass communications
so
major.
It's not a bad thing. It's just really hard.
I can see how that,
So
it's a change for us.
Yes. So my question is,
oh dear.
So how were the parents? How were the parents when you were
So that is a great question. Ooh, yeah.
I know I went to one of the most expensive colleges in America to be a doctor, but
I did have a scholarship. I did have a
look at you.
That helps. That takes a little bit of the pressure off.
Boy, you do love math and science because that's not easy to get.
Especially at WashU.
Yeah.
But you spend all this time and then you're like, on second thought, I'm going to go be in showbiz.
You know what? What I like to argue is that I'm one of the few people that are actually using their undergrad degree for their career.
Yeah, because you didn't actually do the pre-med thing, right?
Degree,
I can say the same thing. I mass communications and I'm marketing and I'm booking rock bands.
Exactly. And the reason I added the marketing major is because once I had decided I was going to go be a song and dance man, I was like, I should learn business because it's a business at the end of the day. I think a lot of people think what I do is it's like everyone thinks I can think frivolously of the arts. They think that maybe you're not as smart if you pursue that route or whatever. I was like, I argue completely the opposite. It's like the smartest people are the ones that are successful because you just have to be. You have to know the business. You have to know how things work. You have to be professional. I mean, the list is endless.
There's a lot of savviness that comes with it.
Really. So I wanted to learn kind of that side of it. So that's why I kind of added that in. College was definitely a learning curve for my parents. My dad is a doctor and I'm very much like my dad. So I thought, that just contributed in my mind why I thought I was going to be a doctor. And I love helping people, love it. And I think it was kind of like the perfect storm of everything coming together. I think for a few years leading up to mid-college, I'd kind of felt inside that, I think I actually want to pursue this. I love it so much. For me, it's the best drug. There's nothing like the high of performing. That's how I feel. I feel most myself. There's just something about it that I'm like, this is the best thing ever. So I kind of felt that internally for a long time. And then so I first had to admit it to myself, which was harder than I thought it was going to be. Because you just decide to do this, right? But I think at the time, obviously I was a student at WashU. I was studying what I was studying. And I've been very blessed to be good at school, if you will. So I had this fear and this anxiety of people are going to think I'm not smart. And then, as a person of color, I I have great pride in the fact that, I'm a strong and educated and, driven female. That is also Black. I take pride in that. And I felt if I was going to approach this, people are going to think X, Y, and Z about me because I have experience that I've had many comments in my life and in my career of, things that people say to me, like when I tell them what I do. And I just thought, all this stuff. So it took me a second to kind of admit it to myself and be like, no, I actually am going to do this. And then I, chose to start spending my summers in New York, getting established there, training, auditioning, etc. And that's actually when I first met Rebecca, was during one of those summers, and we kind of hit it off. We were doing a program together at Broadway Dance Center. And our class was the best class, in my opinion. Like a group of people. We had just an amazing group of people. And that summer like changed my life in that regard. Like I felt like, okay, no, I can do this. It was also my time to educate my parents, in terms of like, there are ways to actually make a living doing this. Like I don't have to be the poor starving artist mentality. And then also for me, it was a chance for me to see how I fared in the professional world.
Yeah.
I've kind of always been like a big fish in a small pond. And I was like, okay, let me see if I actually can cut it.
For sure.
And I cut it. So that was encouraging in that regard. I got signed with my agency that I'm actually still with to this day.
Wow.
And I actually booked a tour then. My first audition in New York, I actually booked the lead in a tour.
Oh, wow.
Long story short, and ended up turning it down.
Oh.
Even though I thought going into the summer, that was one of my goals, was to book a job that would allow me not to come back to school. And that happened. And then after talking to, people that are wiser than me and people whose opinions I trusted, I came to the decision that, this wasn't what I needed to do.
The shiny thing isn't always the best thing.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
I was once offered a job at the Fox Theater, which if you live in St. Louis, so it's amazing.
Right.
And I work at the Family
amazing.
Arena, which is a great job, but is not amazing. Right. But I was just like, I accepted it, and then they gave me all the details, and I was just like, I'm not going to do this.
It's not a good fit.
It just didn't make sense.
It's important to kind of take a step back sometimes, and I don't know, I felt I did that. It was really hard. And also I'm a yes person. It's extremely hard for me to say no. I'm a people pleaser. And let's just say the parent company over the tour is a very large name company that does a lot of family things.
Okay.
Like,
gee, whatever could that be?
Starts with a D, ends in knee. So, and so they were like, well, there's no way that we could convince you. I guess we can't tell you not to go back to school to come do this. Like, we can't. That's not really what we stand for, but can you not go back to school and do this? So it was like a whole thing. It was sticky. For me to say no. And I had found out after the fact that they had gone through rounds and rounds of auditions, over the previous months, trying to find someone to fit this role. And they felt I was right for it. And it just wasn't right. And I can say that obviously many years with it in the rearview mirror, be like, that was the right decision.
Sure. But in the moment.
But at the moment, it was, I felt crazy because I was like, I can't believe I'm saying no to this. I'm letting all these people down, all this stuff. But it was the right decision for me to go back for many reasons, including the fact that I met my husband after that.
So look at that.
Right.
Ta-da.
Hello. So,
well, Disney should really appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's the kind of, that's what they deem a happy ending.
That is.
So. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Exactly.
And now you have your new baby. So
exactly. Who's consuming all of their things? So that's great. I consume all of their things.
And to really drive the Disney aspect home, it's the circle of life.
There you go.
Yeah.
Tom, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. It's what I do. I translate everything into pop culture.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Wow, that is a really cool story. And very, as a mom, it fills my heart full of feels good to hear because, our son, Tom's son, my stepson, Brian, is graduating this year and he's going into a performing arts school. And it's like, whew, it's like all the nerves. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how is this going to work?
Yeah.
And because applying to all those places is crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
If the drive is there, it's possible. Like, I like to say there's room at the table for everyone. I think a lot of people in the industry either feel that there isn't or try to make it feel as if there's not. Like, they're trying to make it seem like, oh, there's only room for me. But in reality, that's not what I've seen. Yes, obviously there's typecast. Obviously there are things that are going on, like certain things you're right for and certain things you're not right. Like, I'm tall. I'm curvy, but I'm a trained dancer. I'm black, but I have this type of hair versus like, there's all the different things that go into quote unquote my typecast that, so I either get a job or don't get a job, literally based on those things. But yeah, I've been able to have my career. And same thing with someone that looks like me, might have a different career, and someone that looks completely different than me has a type of career too. I feel like there's room for the table, everyone. But I will say that the plumb line is that you have to want it. You have to want to put up with all the BS that comes along with this industry, and have the drive to do it. College was that time for me to educate my parents, be like, okay, here are the things. And then once I actually graduated, I thought I was going to be in New York. I'd kind of done all the FaceTime I needed to do to be established there. So by the time I graduated, I was ready. I had people that wanted to work with me at things lined up. And it was actually my agency, and they're bi-coastal. They're like, well, how about you move to Los Angeles? This is the quote unquote youngest you'll ever be. It's on camera work. Let's get you in there. If you want to, work in New York, we can bring you back over later in life. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I don't put all this work in Los Angeles. I just did all of this. Yeah. I've done all of these things. They're like, what? So I ended up moving to Los Angeles and didn't know, I basically had to do all of that over again. But obviously it worked out. But yeah, my mom was kind of like, she loves to plan. She's kind of like the 5-year plan person, and I'm very much not. Partially because I just can't be in what I do.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know what tomorrow looks like. So
sure, that's what I tell both kids when they're trying to figure out what to do. I was like, have a plan, be prepared to pivot. I was like, there are so many little avenues and tributaries that can jet off from what you think is your dream job that you might end up loving that you don't even know exists right now.
You don't even know. Yeah. Oh my gosh. The opportunities that I've had in my career have literally been so random and come out of left field just because I've been open to them. And I've just, there's the preparation, obviously you have to be prepared and you have to be able to step in and then act professionally when the moment arises and do the work that you need to do. But if you're kind of not open to those opportunities, then you're going to miss them when they pass you by.
Absolutely.
So yeah, my mom was just like, you can move, just show me a budget. And, the second you can't afford it, guess what's happening? You're not doing this. So really, the second she said that, I was like, well, I'm never not affording this.
Yeah. That's parent code for you can do it, but I ain't paying for it.
Exactly. And like, I totally get that. Like, I was also one of 5 children. So I'm like, you don't pay for me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll work all the jobs that I have to do. Like, I bartended at night and I was a Starbucks opener for like my first year out in Los Angeles. So I could have my days free to take class, audition, work the jobs that I booked, et cetera, et cetera. And then I did that until I was booking enough to be able to sustain myself and didn't need those jobs anymore. So I never slept, but I got to do what I wanted to do. And I was young at the time, so I could do that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I feel like, Brian will be fine. If he has to drive and he wants to do it, he'll make it happen.
Well, Elliott said so. So it's there you go.
Yeah, the dad in me is like, maybe you should get a real job. And then I'm like, I dropped out of college to take a job at an alt rock station.
So
who
don't
am
be a hypocrite, Tom.
Who am I to talk? That's what I say to talk myself off the ledge when I'm like, oh my God, really? But but my mom did the same thing when I was like, I'm gonna go work at an alt rock station and drive around Everclear.
Work Everclear. Yes.
The band, not the alcohol.
I did know that.
Yeah, but
that's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's the parent in you. You just want the best for your child.
Yeah,
exactly.
For sure.
It all stems from love.
It does.
But we always tell them,
panic attack.
Yeah, all we want is for you to be happy and self-sufficient. Not necessarily in that order.
Do whatever you want to do. Do whatever you want to do in life. As long as those two boxes are checked.
Then
do it.
that's all that matters.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna come talk to you guys in like 15 to 18 years. I'm so scared.
We'll see how we do whenever he moves out. I'm gonna be a mess.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I say that now. My kid's just like babbling and walking around. It's way different. I can say that now. Like, I might feel very differently in like 10 years. So come back to me.
Yours is 18 months. Mine is 18 years old. He still just babbles and walks around. So like,
It's a journey.
Perfect.
There's a lot of symmetry.
It's a circle of life all over again.
A lot
Exactly.
of symmetry, yeah. So.
I know we only have you for a certain
sure.
amount of time.
Yeah.
So who is your favorite Peloton instructor? I know it's been a while since we talked about Peloton.
I know. Sorry.
No, don't
No,
be.
it's been
That was
great.
a lot of fun.
I love Peloton. I guess that's the whole point of this. Okay, so I'm not a favorites person.
Okay.
So I'm not the person to be like, oh, my favorite song is this. It's just like, it's not something I can do. But I will say that I adore Jess Sims. Like, she was my OG because we started at the same time. Like, you know, when she got introduced to the world, like, is when I got my stuff. So we actually really connected like early on when she first started, you know, back before she got super famous. So we don't chat as much anymore. But yeah, so I love her. I just really connect with her. Like, I love, you know, her strength type message, like take up space. And I'm a big believer of that. I wish more women lifted. I wish more women wanted to be strong as opposed to skinny. I could get on a soapbox about that, but I love that she is that in her energy, and she's just a good time. And plus her programming is always top notch. Like, it kicks your butt in the best way. But really, I love like kind of everyone. Like, I also love Adrian. I think Daniel is like a fantastic ad. Kristen Ferguson, come on, let's go. Drop a 5 in the chat. Like it's always a good time. Bike, love me some Cody. Like, when I just want to have like a feel good time, but also get a workout in, he's always good. Robin's great. Like, I mean, really, it's anyone and everything. It kind of depends on more like what my workout for that day is supposed to be. I kind of look at that. I'm a big music person, so I definitely look at the playlist to kind of see what I want to get. And then I love the feature that they've added, you know, since right before the guide came out, about like, you can actually see if it's a strength workout, what moves are being done. Then you can kind of see like intervals for like tread and bike as well. But that's really helpful for me to make sure I'm like, well, I really need to work on these muscle groups today, or like this kind of move I don't need to do today because I've been repeating that, just things like that. The fact that I can actually see what the workout has is very helpful. Then I can, you know, choose that workout or add it to my stack or whatever.
Yes, I love that, especially for the runs, because I like being able to see the
100%.
interval lengths, you know?
Yeah. It's like, it's allowed me to even like focus my workouts even more. Whereas before I just kind of like, oh, I guess I like this playlist, so I'll take this workout. And then I get in there, I'm like, oh, I really don't need to do more shoulder things. I've already burned out my shoulders so much this week. Like, so it's helpful in that regard.
For sure.
And do you mind sharing your leaderboard name?
Oh, not at all.
Okay.
Mine is Doing Great Sweetie. All spelled out, except for great is GR, the number 8.
The number 8. Gotcha.
Yeah. And yeah, that's actually from like an inside joke from one of my friends that I tour with. Like, we always used to run around saying it to each other, like, really facetiously, like, you're doing great, sweetie, when you just like trip and fall on your face. Like you got egg on your face, you're doing great, sweetie. Yeah, so that's kind of where it came from. And also, it's always fun whenever I get a shout out, they're like, doing great, you are doing great, sweetie. So I'm like,
that's a good way to bait them. Smart.
Is.
See,
Yeah,
exactly. It's worked every time.
So there's what you tell your mom when she says,
marketing.
You wasted the WashU marketing degree? Hell no. Look at all the shout outs, Mom.
Yeah.
Look at all the shout outs.
Totally. I've amounted to something, Mom. She actually has a Peloton tread now too. My parents got one because I made them and they love it. So
that's awesome.
That's great.
Do you guys take classes together?
We do. Yeah. Actually, we took one yesterday together. We did the Ashton Kutcher, Kim Kardashian class.
Okay. So you guys were, you're not Kim Kardashian, like, oh my God, why is she on the treadmill, people?
Not really. Cause I know what they're doing. It's like, I was very excited to see what you guys were actually going to discuss about this, because I feel like this is totally in line with Tom, with what you've been saying for years, how it's a studio, they're creating shows and it's entertainment.
Yes.
So I totally view like that's what this Ashton Kutcher thing is. And actually, I think it's really entertaining. Like, I actually have enjoyed it. I can see if they create more content like this, you know, that could be cool. Like,
and why wouldn't you want the 7th most popular Instagram influencer interacting with your product?
Yeah, she's going to get people in the door, you know, and obviously in the intro they show who the other guests are for the season, and like it's a good mix. I mean, I just view it as a talk show, really, so it doesn't bug me that she's one of the guests, because again, obviously she's popular.
Yeah.
You don't get mad at the Tonight Show when they have her on. Like, right?
Exactly. So
and
that's what I view. It's a talk show, so they brought her in.
And
like,
Ashton did a great job of running the conversation. He did a great job. I took that one today.
He was running it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Literally
highly
while running.
recommend, yes. And I highly recommend for people who are trying to do intervals, like certain times, to take that class because you can just let them do what they're doing. And it's very easy to like do your own times at whatever.
Yeah, I actually PR'd in my class yesterday.
Nice.
Which is really interesting. I didn't realize, I didn't even feel winded in a certain way. I didn't realize I was running at those speeds for as, like, again, the intervals as long as I was. So that was, so I was actually very surprised. I was like, oh, I just was probably just paying attention, just following the conversation. So
that's
it
awesome.
worked.
Yay.
Awesome.
Congrats.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. Before we let you go, where can people find you on social media, assuming you would like to be found?
Yes. Okay. Well, like I said, on the leaderboard, you can find me at Doing Great, Sweetie. I'm a high five giver. So I'm like, I get on, people are on, I'm high-fiving you. So I just like to do it. And on Instagram, you can find me at Eliotte Nicole. That's ELIOTTE, Nicole with no H. And that's how you can find me.
Awesome. Well,
Wonderful.
Thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, so much fun.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you
much
for having
your
me.
time. Of course.
Yes.
Happy to do it.
The Clip Out.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next week, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and the Peloton leaderboard at ClipOutCrystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group. And of course, don't forget our YouTube channel, youtube.com/The Clip Out, where you can watch all of our shows. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling
And running.
Clip in.